right, we're ready for our next recipe. Now, this is a barrel that we've actually been using for several recipes, and I like doing that because it's able to kind of pull in the flavors from what we did previously. I'll kind of give you a little history on this barrel. It's a 2-liter barrel, and we started off just curing the barrel with a cream sherry. Actually, this one right here. So what we did is we just poured the cream sherry in there. We let it sit in there for about a week, week and a half. We wanted to kind of get a good saturation of it into the wood, give it a good flavor. Then we followed up with High West rye whiskey, and we aged that whiskey in there for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So not a whole lot of time, but enough to kind of pull some of that cream sherry flavor in there, give it a little bit of age, smooth out those peaks, and really turned it into a delicious cocktail. And then after that, what we did is we made a Manhattan. We made the Manhattan with the Evan Williams Master Blend. Actually, this is the Manhattan. We've poured it back into the bottle here. In fact, it was more than this. I've got a little overflow in another bottle. What we did is we put the 5th of Evan Williams in there, along with 375 milliliters of a sweet vermouth and some bitters that we picked up at a whiskey festival here recently. And this turned out really well, and I'll tell you what, it is, if you like Manhattans, you will love a Manhattan that's been aged in a barrel. It is quite flavorful, and you'll notice the difference. Now, we just took it out, so we've got that Manhattan aged in there, and the flavor in the barrel is awesome. We're going to start another Manhattan, or kind of a bootleg or knockoff version of a Manhattan, and we're going to do it with vodka and our Kentucky Bourbon Essence, along with the sweet vermouth and the bitters. I don't have the bitters here with me, but then we'll put some bitters in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix, I'm not going to pour this whole 1.75 liter in there. What we're going to do is we're going to put a 5th. So we're going to go with 750 milliliters of vodka. And vodka, you ought to be able to pick that up cheap no matter where you're at. Here in Texas, this 1.75 usually runs $10 or $11. So it's usually pretty inexpensive. I would definitely recommend something that is going to be smooth, perhaps even something that's been triple distilled. You'll mix one of our bottles. We've got a few different bourbons and whiskey essence. You can choose whichever one you like. We've got spiced, we've got Tennessee, we got Kentucky. I like the Kentucky for this recipe, so we're going to go with that. So we're going to mix one bottle of that with 750 milliliters of the vodka, 375 milliliters of the sweet vermouth. In the Manhattan recipe, it's a 2-to-1 vermouth to liquor ratio. And then we're going to put our dashes of bitters in there as well. I don't recommend putting orange peels or cherries or any of that stuff. You'd want to put that, in your glass after you've aged it. But we've got a barrel here with great Manhattan flavor already soaked into it. So we're going to make a knockoff, and I'm actually anxious to see how this one's going to taste and how it's actually going to compare to this one here, because you can make a Manhattan using, many different, a lot of people like it with a rye, or, you can use a wheated or a bourbon or a whiskey, or just, there's different versions of it. So find out what you like. And we've got several different essence flavors too. So if you like the Canadian or, Irish or whatever, kind of play around with it. But I'm looking forward. Now, I'm probably going to leave it in here a little bit longer. This Manhattan was only in here about 2.5 weeks. This one here doesn't have any age on it. Obviously, Evan Williams already had some barrel time. So I'm probably going to leave this one in here a month. So I'll follow up on the next video and let you know. I'm looking forward to kind of doing a side-by-side comparison, maybe even a little blind taste test with some friends and see how they like it, see how it compares. But it's definitely an inexpensive way to make a good cocktail and good flavors coming from the barrel. So anyway, look forward to checking in with you and see how that turns out. Meanwhile, I'm going to get back to the Manhattan that we've got.